And this month's theme is Believing Our Way to Greater Possibilities. And today's topic is the power to change. For the first 2 weeks of this series, I talked about the writings of Greg Braden in his book, The Spontaneous Healing of Belief. Last week, as many of you know, we made the decision to begin an online book group. And the book that the group chose to review is that very book. That online program, as many of you already know because you're signed up for it, begins this Tuesday, April 21st at 3 in the afternoon on Zoom. And all of you are welcome to join with us. However, we need to know if you're going to. So first of all, you can be included in the Zoom link that's sent out for that. And secondly, so that you can be assigned a part of a book to discuss. Those of you who were online earlier heard one of our members say, "Oh wow, that's a whole new world for me to try and explain what I just read." But it's good because we're all in that same position. This is very new information for us in our metaphysical world. So, as of this morning, and as I promised 2 weeks ago, I'll now be sharing the thoughts and the findings of Bruce Lipton from his new book, Spontaneous Evolution. And I'll be talking about that through the end of this month. The tagline to that book is Our Positive Future and a Way to Get There from Here. Now keep in mind, this book was published in 2009, which was a year after Braden's book, Spontaneous Healing of Belief, and well in advance of what we are experiencing as the present challenge in the world today and its peoples. But I was particularly drawn to the word spontaneous, which appears in both of these titles. Spontaneous, by definition, has a lot of meanings, but here is Bruce Lipton's definition related to the material in his book. He says this book introduces the notion that a miraculous healing awaits this planet once we accept our new responsibility to be collectively tending the garden instead of fighting over the turf. Would a critical mass of people truly own this belief? When a critical mass of people truly own this belief in their hearts and in their minds, and actually begin living from that truth, our world will emerge from this darkness in what will amount to a spontaneous evolution. And he said, in order for that to happen, humanity must have a better understanding of past programming, current knowledge, and future possibilities. So the key word there is what? Critical mass. Let me quote his words again. When a critical mass of people truly own this belief, and the belief is to tend the garden, meaning the planet, rather than fighting over the turf. That concept, critical mass, is a familiar phrase to us. It's been around for quite a while, hasn't it? Books have been written about it, and various areas of study have captured the phrase for use in their world. In the 1940s, though, it became a descriptor in nuclear physics related to the amount of uranium that was needed to detonate an atomic bomb. In the early 1980s, Ken Keyes Jr. wrote a book called The 100th Monkey. Some of you are familiar with that. We talk about that occasionally in my classes. And in that book, he described the phenomenon of critical mass this way. Excuse me. When only a limited number of people know of a new way, it may remain the consciousness property of those people. But there is a point at which if only one more person tunes into a new awareness, a field is strengthened so that this awareness is picked up by almost everyone. Well, folks, that concept goes way back in history. Another universal property called gravitational mass, whereby every physical entity in the universe acts so as to attract every other one, was first stated by Isaac Newton in his writing Principia in 1687, and later refined into a newer conceptual by Albert Einstein in 1907. And then along came Ernest Holmes, who once said, if 51% of you believes in whatever you believe, it can come true for you. That too has been expanded upon by numerous others in a variety of fields. In fact, it's commonly referred to now as the tipping point. That may be a familiar phrase to some of you. So perhaps these are simply different names used to describe the reality that we're all one. The concept that the entire universe is connected in such a way that everything affects everything else. You may even know that as the butterfly concept. Now, let me share with you again the quote that I used a few moments ago from Bruce Lipton's book. This book introduces the notion that a miraculous healing awaits this planet once we accept our new responsibilities to collectively tend the garden rather than fight over the turf. When a critical mass of people truly own this belief in their hearts and their minds and actually begin living from this truth, our world will emerge from the darkness in what will amount to a spontaneous revelation. So now let's revisit Bruce's tagline in the book's title. And here's the tagline: our positive future and a way to get there from here. Albert Einstein was once quoted as saying, "Stay away from negative people. They have a problem for every solution." Humorous but true. One way to develop a positive future, individually and collectively, is to transcend negativity. And each one of us, those of you at this meeting now, those who attend our regular services, take our classes, and contribute to the health and growth of this center, already know this. Our faith in a positive future has already been demonstrated in our own lives. As Ken Kai said, we have that consciousness property, meaning we participate in our own positive future. And as Albert Einstein is also quoted as saying, life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. Well, this is universally true. Our universe is in constant movement. Our home planet, Earth, is in constant movement. The circle of plant and animal life on this planet is in constant movement. And if you think about the interior of your body, it's in constant movement. And although at the present moment we're being called to limit our constant physical movement, your mind can continue to move, to function, and to invoke a positive now moment, which sets the stage for the next moment and the next moment, and gathers support and expansion as it does so. It's really a question for each spiritual being having a human experience. Which critical mass do you choose to be a part of? And sometimes it's a challenge, isn't it? And right now is one of those challenges. So let's take on that challenge right now, right here. From this moment forward. Here's what Bruce says about that. The promise of spontaneous evolution signifies nothing less than a global transformation. But before we can reshape our outer environment, we must be fully aware of the world within. The world within. That's your mind and your body. That's my mind and my body. That's the expression of each human being. 2 weeks ago, I mentioned in the talk titled, What Do I Believe and What Don't I Believe? That I believe, given their choice, most people would choose to be healthy, to be happy, to be safe, to be at peace, to be prosperous. It sounds so elementary, doesn't it? How could something prevent that? You and I could probably spend the rest of the day making a list of what we might think would be the truth of others who are lacking these qualities in their lives at this moment. But wait a minute. What critical mass do we choose to be a part of? Of course, the positive one. Because to those on the path who faithfully listen, the universe is calling. So rather than making a lack of truth list for unknown others, make a commitment to yourself today to begin making a list of what you believe are your positive truths already and that are in action. And then make a list of those you intend to add, beginning with at least one per week in the week, or one per day, in the week ahead. Like from today through next Saturday. Your practice with that, if you accept this call, is to read your list of positive truths every day, at least once. You're welcome to read it more than once. And then add at least one from that list per day of those waiting to be claimed. Then do a spiritual mind treatment or an affirmative prayer to support the positive aspects of your truth at no one else's expense, but available for them to accept if they choose. From this day forward, you and I put into the collective consciousness how we are shaping our own truth without harm to others, and in so doing, making it available to those who may currently have few or no positive truths. And remember, should that veil of fear descend on you as you do your spiritual mind treatment, take the time to deny that false belief any power. Release it from your consciousness and go back to accepting the good. If you'd like further information regarding that step, which we call the argumentative step in spiritual mind treatment, you're welcome to call me, email me, or text me for assistance. This is a really powerful step in spiritual practice. Be happy to share it with you if you're not already familiar with it. So one of the parts of Lipton's book is in the very first chapter, which is titled, Believing is Seeing. Now, normally we hear that the other way around, don't we? That seeing is believing. Stay with me as we talk about believing is seeing. And here's his take on that. Perceptions have a tremendous influence in shaping the character and experiences of our lives. They can be more powerful than positive thinking because they are mere thoughts in the mind. But where do they come from? 3 guesses? Well, you only need 2 guesses. The first one, from the collective consciousness. And the second one, from information shared with us without its truth being authenticated. Perceptions are beliefs, though, and they permeate every cell of our body. The expression of the body is the complement to the mind's perceptions. And many of us have unknowingly acquired misperceptions that undermine our strength, our health, and our desires. So next week, our talk will be on the science of belief. And along with more information from Bruce Lipton, who is a PhD and he was trained as a cell biologist, I'll also be sharing some information from Andrew Newberg, who is a medical doctor and a neuroscientist. We'll be addressing the fact that every one of us is surrounded by a thought atmosphere. Ernest Holmes identified that as a mental atmosphere, which is the direct result of your conscious and unconscious, not or, and conscious and unconscious belief or thought, which in turn becomes the direct reason for and cause of all which comes into your life. And so it is.
And so it is.